Hi, everybody. We're near the end of the month of April, and today is a beautiful day out here in Northern California. I'm near wine country, but I don't drink wine. Not that I never drank wine. I used to be Boone's Farm, back in the day. So, there's some things I want to tell you. I didn't get on this until 2 p.m. right now, Pacific time, because I don't want any mail complaining, but I went and got my COVID vaccine. And I usually don't have any kind of, side effect, nothing. But this time I started getting a headache. I thought, where the hell is that coming from? I did take my blood pressure while I was there. They have a little area you can do your blood pressure so it can go in your medical record. It was 116/64, pulse 84. That's not bad. Dang. They were always fighting with my blood pressure. So that's good news. But I wanted to tell you some stuff. First, let me tell you a little story behind the story. Well, let me make two little comments. Yes, I watch Pete Hedgehog on and off. It's like, why bother? They're just going to sit there and lie. He's going. I think Kash Patel's going next, but I think he's going soon. And I also want to tell you that I know about the voting rights that the Supreme Court's messing with. I definitely saw not only Justice Thomas, Justice Kavanaugh, but I also saw Justice Roberts. Remember, I was telling you guys I didn't know if he was going to pass away or what, but he's going to be impeached. And the Comey thing is a nothing burger. I'll just throw real quick, and then I'll get into the real story. I'm here today because it was exciting. Okay, hold on. Tell me about Comey. I don't even feel him nervous about it. I sent this on one of my social media things. Some DOJ person anonymously said it was one of the worst indictments they ever did because it was based on such nothing. And our friend Karen Conroy is on hospice, and she's hanging in there. She's had a generic. They switched her to some generic pain med, and it wasn't working. Sweet kid, it's just a shame. I said, you get on that horn if you can. Okay. Angel of Light and Mercy. Tell me about. I'm not a big Comey fan. But even Senator Tillis, I think, made a scathing thing about that. He said, I don't know how many times you say you're going to 6er or 86er. That's a common phrase. It by no means does it mean assassinate. They're going to try with this, but I feel like it's not going to work. But let me just double check. Oh, I think it might be kicked out sooner than later. I don't even know if a judge goes with it. He's going to eventually sue for some money. He'll get it too. This is a burden to him, though, even though he's like, yeah, whatever. Somebody's going to be sick or under the weather here. Or there's quite a delay. Look at this. He's going to win a lawsuit. He's going to win a lawsuit. I love it. Okay, you guys. And Trump's going to be so mad. And apparently, did you hear? I didn't hear the whole thing. Because I'll be honest with you. Somebody said on one of these shows, when I knew he was going to talk, I just said, yeah, whatever. That Prince Charles or King Charles was going to talk. Yeah, whatever. And she said, I take it back. He totally put Trump in the corner. But they're not talking about King Charles or Trump today, which is interesting. Trump is kind of on the down low. If y'all hear something, and listen, thank you for your emails and stuff, but I get a lot of people sending me YouTube stuff. And what happens is I have to sit and listen to the YouTube in order to read everybody's email, and I can't do it all. I just can't. Okay, so, and a lot of them are repeats. And then some people will send me 6, 7 emails the same day. I'm like, hello. Okay, so here we go. So don't worry, Comey's going to be okay. I mean, you know, I don't think he's the greatest thing ever, but I will never forgive Donald Trump for what he did with Mueller. He's over there and his wife acting all. She's the only first lady you can Google and find soft porn stuff on. But, you know, Jimmy Fallon, was it Jimmy Fallon? No, it wasn't. Jimmy Kimmel made a comment that she took real offense to, and she's tired of people being vile with her family. And I thought, honey, consider the source. But Andre yesterday took a look at his chart, and he says he's got to tone it down a little because he's into some choppy waters coming up. So, you know, we can only pull them out every once in a while. We can't keep doing it. Although I do, people say, and I'm done with because that's why they're not immediately blocking him, because, you know, last time you saw what happened. So, okay. So when I was even when I was young, when I was a young girl, and when I saw Jesus and I had this feeling of the Christ consciousness, I remember sitting in a room with a lot of people, and I remember being like at the DMV or Social Security or something, and I would energetically put out a light around me and encircle the whole place. Every single person in the room I would bless. I know that sounds crazy, like who am I to bless? But I was wishing to be able to bless everybody. I remember driving even on the freeway, and sometimes when the rain really started to pour, I would bless everyone on the road that they would be safe with their families. And, you know, I was no wonderful person. You know, I went through a lot of stuff. I was human. But back in those days, I really believed. I just knew there was a God. I knew something bigger than this. And when I was in nursing school and I was living with my folks, I would lay on the bed and visualize myself with Jesus, literally by a brook. I would be sitting on a rock, and there was a brook, and he would sit next to me, and we were throwing little pebbles into the brook. And he would talk to me. And in that energy that I was focusing on, I would get a light. I think I might have told you guys about this before. I could see it in the room. The room would, it's not a bright light. It was like a soft light. And the same thing would happen when I listened to Eckhart Tolle in my car driving back from seeing my dad. And it was like an hour and a half to and from, going through San Francisco. And I would just listen to that. And I don't even remember the trip sometimes, but I remember the inside of my car feeling like there was a soft light in it. It was really something. So I was blessing people all the time, you know. And the other night, I visualized again, and I just got full of that love, you know. The love, and I get Mary sometimes too, and this omnipresent, unconditional, beautiful love, and you just want to soak it in, and it really helps you with everyday stuff, you know, when you're living in this world, and sometimes there's this piece of bad news and that piece, especially with all these political things, and you just soak in that energy knowing that everything's going to be okay. Well, then I started to get a few hits. And I've had hits on and off, as you know, when he was first in office. I kept showing you that the pictures I got was Republicans jumping off a ship like rats. And I also saw his people throwing tomatoes at him. And remember when he won, I said, why? And they said, man has free will. And then they told me that his people need to see who he really is. And that's exactly what's happening now. So I put that all out there. And then I started getting pictures, more pictures. Because, you know, you don't really ask them when, because they don't answer you like that. Sometimes it's better not to predict when, but I can tell you how. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the only year, because when that hit came to me, when I told you guys he'll be gone by the end of the year, that was powerful enough to come out my mouth, and I usually don't try to do that. I always think it's better not to predict when. So what I saw was, and I can't tell you the time frame, but the economy really, really getting ready to struggle. It won't be as bad as the Great Depression, but it'll be close. I saw jobs, I saw banks in trouble, I saw people struggling to try to, you know, put two nickels together. And I see Trump not doing anything for anybody. And he's just like, yeah, well, whatever. We need the ballroom. We need the great fountain. We need this and that. He's not putting any money towards the American people. And the other thing I felt was this is going to be a bad winter. I got real bad. Not necessarily about hurricanes, but whew, I saw great floods and snow and storms. There's a lot of tornadoes going on right now. And I don't know why, but I felt it's going to be. And what's happening is, and there'll probably be a couple of earthquakes that are good size. I know in California there'll be one, but nothing Armageddon. But still, good size, enough to cause some damage. You know, put things on a stop, everything down. But I see that Trump is not doing. You know, he's taking all the money, so people are needing help. And they're not getting none from him. And let me tell you, it's already happening. But we're going to have a lot of stuff piled, boom, boom, boom. And then that's when I see his people and regular people say, enough. Get that SOB out of here. I see marching. I see people even yelling, drag him out, you know. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. You know, he doesn't, sure, he'll take care of his own family, but then they better give him when he needs something. Just like Jared getting all that money from, oh, trust me, Trump's paws were in that. So he doesn't get that you got, because he fake acts like he cares about you, but he doesn't. So this is even more pronounced. It could be right before the big voting, because I see such a massive blue wave. It's going to be beyond words. It's like they have no chance. It's such a tidal wave of blue and people are saying loudly, we want him out of here. And I think once they're in there, they'll start if he's still alive, because I see people wanting him gone. Whatever means that they can do it. And I see the military involved, and people are just done with him. But it has to come, I'm sorry, it has to come to that explosion. Now listen, we're going to go into a little bit of default, and it'll take a little bit to come out, but this will get remedied, okay? We're going to have to help our neighbor. We're going to have to help people. We're going to have to do anything we can do. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to do it. You know, make sandwiches or have food or whatever. Do something for others. Right now, I'm lucky that financially I'm okay, although I might not be, because if the banks start defaulting, and you know, but whatever I can do to help others, we're going to have to do that. And did you see Netanyahu said the life of one person from Jerusalem is worth more than 40 Americans. And then I said, well, who's going to pay your bills and give you money for your weapons and pay your people to live at home and don't have to work? So anyway, so 40 of us aren't worth one of them. I can't believe he's still talking. It's like, wait, are you still talking? So I don't know if you can hear that noise out there. Somebody's working in their backyard. Oh, I just love the noise of backyard work. So anyway, I want to tell you it's happening soon. And the reason it's going to happen, and I think I've mentioned this before, is because of economic stuff. The Iran thing is costing us money, okay? Anything that costs us money, people are going to be furious about. And apparently, Hedgehog admitted they got all the nukes from Iran in one breath, and the next breath he's saying, well, we fought them because they have the ability to get nukes. Wait a second, which one is it? So I just wanted to tell you, I just saw a big drop financially, a lot of trouble financially. And I see people desperate to get him out. And he really cannot believe it. He cannot believe people don't like him, but they hate him. He's the most hated person in the world. And it's not just us who's going to suffer. Other nations are going to suffer. But I even see like Italy and France and everybody saying, hey, you want this guy out? Just give us a word. We'll come over there and help you. That's how bad it is. And apparently Russia and China are signing an agreement with Iran that they'll protect them from the United States. Okay, tell me about the big economic shift that will cause. There's a lot of, I see economic shift and I see weather related. So just batten down the hatch, get your drainage going, make sure you've got extra blankets and batteries, etc. But man is going to help man. That's whoever this was that was talking to me. Maybe it was Jesus. I hope it was him. But I don't have an instant line towards him, you know. But what I was hearing in that love energy he was giving is that, you know, like 3/4 of America is against this man. Those polls they're doing isn't even beginning to reflect what's really going on. And then if you start interviewing MAGA, a lot of them are just furious with him. I did see a guy wearing a MAGA shirt says, I don't care if Trump is a Petey. I said, well, that's because you're a Petey too. Tell me about the economic shift they showed me last night. Tell me about the economic shift they showed me last night. All right, here we go. It's going to happen. It could be by September, okay? And remember I told you the whole world is going to feel it. A lot of stuff going on, okay? And it's definitely involving money and people feeling they got ripped off, and Trump. This is my card for Trump. A lot of burden coming up here, but a new beginning. So so the economic burden is happening. It's not going to be as bad as the Depression, and I know that we didn't live through that, but I know it was bad. But let me ask something real quick. So what's going to happen to Donald Trump? So what's going to happen to Donald Trump? What's going to happen to Donald Trump? He's a fool. He's crossed with karma, so he was meant to do this, as terrible it is. And the sun is the truth on top of him. The truth will be known. Ooh, the truth is really going to upset people. Picking up the pieces, trying to sneak away. He's caught in between. He's in a dilemma. and he's struggling, trying to get his ducks in a row. All he'll have is those oligarchs, and they'll drop him when he's causing them to lose money. He's not very well. He's very sick. Russia is against him even. So, this is the hangman. And it's reverse. I feel like he really can't believe that the American people can't stand him. And let me tell you, I don't see that ballroom getting built. And even if it was halfway built or somewhat built, I see it being ripped down by people's own hands. I see anything with his name on it being crushed. Did you see he wants to put his ugly mug on our passports? Oh, hell to the no. I would do a little with his teeth and stuff, you know, some bit. Anyway, so, okay. Hold on one second. Whoa. Hold on. I'm trying to put this on pause real quick, but I'm having a hell of a time. Here we go. You know, I want to take a look at the naval people. I closed the door because it was too loud. I want to take a look at the naval people getting enough food. My friend in Hawaii, she wrote a couple of times. She's the one that tried to send to her son a care package. They won't send it. Even if they let the parents or the families or the wives, husbands, whatever, send something, but they won't even let them do that. They're just so paranoid that one of the military men might accidentally tell people what's really going on. And so many people are refusing to go to Iran. Oh, people are leaving left and right. They think they're going to do let me tell you something. I picked this up before. They're going to do a draft. They could try to do a draft. It won't happen. The other thing I want to tell you that I picked up, that James Comey's daughter will win her lawsuit. Okay. Don't worry. 47's going. And he thinks people really like him. Tell me about the food for these. You know how I am about feeding people. When you come to my house, if you're hungry, you're going to leave full. With a pot of something with you. Okay. It's even worse than we imagined. There's a lot of complaints going on. They will try to remedy it, though. I see they're lying to people. Probably within the month, I see rations getting to them, and it's a little better. This seems to have happened. I'll tell you the truth, what I'm seeing. This seems to have happened more. I don't think if it's going to, write me if you have family in the military and you know it's still going on. Because I feel like it's been gradually improving. Tell me if that's the truth or not. You can't have these poor people. It's supposed to be alert. Hey, if I don't have my breakfast or my lunch, you won't catch my happy butt alert. Yeah. Chris said, will the Trump name go down in history alongside the name of Benedict Arnold? But a lot of people don't remember. He'll be worse than Nixon. He will be so hated. And I see that face he gives. You know, when people are booing him and he gets that look where he kind of puts his lip tight and he tries to act like he's not, you know, he's waving and, you know, he's waving to nothing. And I see people really, and this makes sense why the guides told me The reason he won is that man has free will. And number two was that his people need to see who he really is. And he's got such an ego. And he's such a fraud. And this thing with that ballroom and all this, and people are struggling. People are losing their health care. A lot of business like Facebook and stuff who could care less about the average man, getting rid of thousands and thousands of employees. It's going to burst, you guys. It's going to burst. I knew it was going to be bad, but in that vision I had, I saw where people, they're just done. They're just done. They're just saying, I want them out. Get them out. We need help. And I even see someone like Obama, not that he'd go for being a president anymore, but I see people like Obama and who else was I seeing? I see Hillary. I don't see Bill. But I do see some high-end politicians coming forward and coming up with game plans, because they're going to figure out a game plan to help America. Let's see how we can do this. Just like Biden did when he came in and we still have the COVID and everything. And then he sat down and said, let's figure out how we're gonna do this. That's what I'm seeing, a game plan. Did you see that the Trump administration put up the Australian flags and not the UK flags? Not knowing the difference. Does Hedgehog know he'll be taking a fall? Absolutely. He knows but he kisses up to the master and makes him feel. Trump really, and who else kisses up is Kash Patel. That's the only thing got him hanging on a string, but something else is coming up with Patel. No, I don't see Donald being able to put another judge, because the judges he wants to step down aren't going to step down. He was furious about them not saying yes on his tariffs. But they just did. Listen, the whole voting thing, bite your tongue. This is going to change, because what they'll do is when the new president comes in, they'll start recalling these people in there, and they'll bring it up in a different way and get it back on the books. They know what they're doing. They're racist. Can you believe that? Even Uncle Tom. Karen, the reason that our GIs aren't allowed their mail and packages is from home, which is unheard of. That's what kept our military men going, was hearing from home. We used to do, I remember during the Vietnam War, you would just write letters. You'd go with a group of people and write letters to, and whoever got it was happy to get it. I used to get all kinds. Of course, I put 8x10 glossies. That weren't really me. I wished I looked like that. But anyway, I'd get all these letters with their life stories and stuff. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being pen pals with them. Of course, it wasn't me. Okay. But they also fear the GI men contacting the families and telling them the truth. That's what they fear. And let me tell you the other thing that's the truth. There's more people that are deceased or imprisoned in Iran than they're letting us know. I think Kash Patel will be out before July, August. I totally believe, John Smith wrote me and said, can you confirm if alien hybrids stop the use of nuclear? Absolutely. I know in Russia, and I've told you guys this story before because I had a friend that knew people in Russia, and there was a front page news story about a great big UFO hanging over, I think it was number 4 of in Ukraine, of the one that was leaking. And they said if that thing hadn't taken up a lot of that, whatever was coming through the air, radiation, it would have been worse, a worse disaster than it already was. That's what he said. I believe him. He never tend to lie to me, but I really feel that they're always around, especially, and they're being seen everywhere. And Ukraine gets a lot of angelic stuff. The Virgin Mary's been there several times just recently. And then, but did you see Jerusalem's getting hit by crows and locusts, and it's weird. It's like biblical. Okay. And you guys always ask about Ghislaine Maxwell getting a pardon. I know it's on his list, and I know he talks about it, and I know she thinks she's going to get it. And he put her in, a wonderful place that she can have a dog and do this and that. But I don't see him being able to pardon her, like something happens that cuts it off before, or because people hate him so bad and they're marching in the streets, they might say, oh, hell no. And even if she got out, I see them tracking her down. My Uncle Richard went missing in Vietnam in 1970 during the Vietnam War. Did he get killed in action, or is he still alive living overseas? My family is in Vietnam this week, still searching for answers. I feel he got killed. I feel he got killed like a terrible death. Not like he was exploded, something exploded, and I see a lot of mud. And he was with several other people. I see several other people. Some man just started talking to me and told me to tell them that he loves them, but unfortunately, they'll never find not even pieces of his body. Will Pelosi be able to see Trump be removed before she leaves office in January of 2027? Something saying yes very clearly. So I heard yes. The 2 CIA agents that were killed in a car crash in Mexico, it was a hit. It was a hit, and I think it was from the cartel. Florida summer 2026 for hurricanes. I'm feeling a good size and a couple of small ones. But we're really going to have a bad winter, and I can't quite tell you why, except the guides or the realm showed me. And the thing is that while people are getting hurt and devastated, and a lot of it's red states, this man doesn't come forward with anything to help them. And he keeps talking about that ballroom. People will light a match, let me tell you right now. You don't wish for him to be taken out, for T-Rump to be taken out. You don't want that, because then he will be a martyr. You want things to happen the way they're supposed to happen. And I don't know why people think they should try to take him out, because, yeah, maybe we'd be dancing in the streets and happy, but that would affect his people, and they would say he didn't deserve that. So you don't want that. You want his people to say, get out of here. I don't see the White House bunker getting completed. And Carolyn Lovett went on maternity leave. Yes, the redistricting of Virginia is going to go through. It's already, another judge turned it over, so. Listen, these young men out on the service that are out there, they got things to say. So listen up when they can start revealing. Hedgehog is going down. I don't know why. And I didn't really watch. I can hardly stand to watch these people talk. Why waste your time? Because it's bull. But I feel him furious. And he feels that they try to corner him and this and that. I just feel him really mad. And I see Trump saying he did a good job. Trump is in the corner. What does Trump think about King Charles after he gave that speech, which was a slap in the face? What does Trump think about King Charles? It took his strength away. He's very surprised. He might even walk away. Ooh. This kind of knocked him for a loop. He doesn't want to insult him, but he's saying, you know, that was sort of a slap in my face. But what was Prince Charles saying that's not true? You know, we have to be able to look at both sides of things. We have to go trust the Constitution. And he did make a comment that is linked to Epstein. So look it up. Google that, because they showed what he said. And apparently that was for the Epstein people. It was a roundabout way of doing it. But he did say something, which is more than Trump did. Okay, you guys. Oh, and King Charles is furious. He's furious at his brother for putting that family in a terrible predicament. He's very angry. He gets really angry, you guys. He's a scorp, you know. Well, you guys have seen some of his outbursts. Somebody said, but I doubt it, I didn't see this, that he said, oh, you know, I could have been with Diana. I wish she was here. Too bad she's still not here. He said, yeah, one of my wives is dead, but I didn't kill her. And then he said, yeah, she was a beautiful woman. I doubt if he said this, but the comment was made. But Kamala, not so much. But I will tell you, she actually looked, I don't know if she got a facelift or what, but she looked not as awful, because she could look awful. But she looked well presented, and her face looked okay, so I'll give her that much. I know her and Charles live in separate homes, so that makes a happy woman, happy life. Okay, you guys, I love you all. And then tomorrow's what? Thursday. So on Saturday, I might go see The Devil Wears Prada. Okay, love you guys. Cheers.